ASMR Gaming News. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a special ASMR Movie Geek review. So today, I'm chewing two delicious pieces of cherry bubblegum, and I have some relaxing Fortnite gameplay here in the background for all of you to enjoy. And I just got back from the movie theater, and I watched the new Avatar movie. So this is the second Avatar movie, it's the sequel. I'm going to be talking about it, my impressions, my thoughts, but don't worry, I will not have any spoilers at the beginning of this review. And around the middle, I'm going to do a spoiler warning that's going to sound like this. Spoiler, 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 spoiler. And that's when you know I'm going to start talking about spoilers. So, first, let's talk about the movie experience. So we're just a couple of days away from Christmas, and I was able to catch like a pretty early showing of this movie in like the afternoon. And let me tell all of you that there was like no one in the theater. I think everybody is gonna be, coming a little bit later. I feel like it was too early to go to the movies. A lot of people are shopping or working. So I managed to like get in there. There was just a couple other people, and it was pretty empty. So it was super comfy to just chill and relax and enjoy the movie. So best experience ever. I had some popcorn, some Mountain Dew, and it was enjoyable. The popcorn that I got was like half the salty kind and half the caramel kind, so I had a little bit of both, but best of both worlds. And okay, first impression of Avatar 2. Let me tell all of you, I'm gonna be 100% honest. The movie is, I'm a little bit on the fence. Like, it's not the greatest movie ever. It's not fantastic or the best movie of the year. But it's not terrible. Like, it's actually pretty good. Just not that good. So, it's kind of like in the middle for me. Like, it's a little bit tough to say. I might have to think about it a few days, but let's just say I enjoyed it. I would recommend it maybe to some people. And if you enjoyed the first one, I say definitely go see Avatar 2. But if you did not really enjoy the first Avatar movie, maybe stay away from this one. Maybe catch it on TV or something later on. Maybe when it arrives on Netflix or Hulu or whatever, maybe watch it there. But yeah, it's really only for people that really, really like the first Avatar. It feels even more, I would say, disconnected from Avatar 1. So, like, it was made for the fans of that movie, and if you don't like that movie, maybe you won't understand or be, like, fully invested in what happens in Avatar 2. Kind of like, imagine going to see Avengers, I don't know, Endgame without seeing Infinity War. You won't enjoy it as much as someone that watched Infinity War and then went to go watch Endgame. Or someone that watched maybe, The Dark Knight Rises before watching The Dark Knight, or something like that. Or Spider-Man 3 before watching Spider-Man 2. Stuff like that. So, let's just get talking. The one thing that I can praise absolutely about this movie is the visuals. This is one of the most beautiful movies I have seen in a long time. Like, they went all out with the graphics, the special effects. My mind was like completely blown away. So many times during the movie I was like, is this real? Like, is this real water? Or is that like CG? And then I was like trying to understand and look closely, and it was so hard to tell. They did a great job. Like, this movie has to win awards for like the visuals at the Oscars or whatever next year. Like, it has to. There's just no way this movie comes out and doesn't win anything. Like, it has to win something, especially for the graphics. So if you like movies that look really, really good, like the best CG effects, special graphics, and visuals, this movie is very, very special. Like, I'll give the visuals in this like a 9 out of 10. They are stunning, absolutely groundbreaking, and I have no idea how they did everything, but it looks so realistic. And I was watching it, on a huge like IMAX screen, and everything looked so beautiful and like vibrant and full of life. Like, you actually felt like you were in the world of Avatar 2. The music. How do I feel about the music? I have to be honest. I feel like the music is just a slight downgrade under the first Avatar movie. So it was good, just not as good, which is a little bit sad in my opinion, because the Avatar 1, like the first Avatar movie, was pretty good. Like, you could actually listen to some of those tracks even when, you left the theater. You could throw those up on like YouTube or whatever and listen to them in the background, and some of those are actually really good tracks. I know a bunch of people bought the soundtrack for it. It won some awards, but I can't really think of many memorable new songs from Avatar 2. They were good, just not like as good. What else can I talk about? Okay, here's one thing which is gonna be a little bit controversial to talk about, but the acting. So, what's the guy's name? Is Sam Worthington? I gotta look that up. I think his name is Sam Worthington. Basically, the main actor, the main, lead actor guy. Yeah, Sam Worthington. So, the main character in Avatar is played by this guy called Sam Worthington. He was in the first movie, the actor that, played the character, Jake Sully. Jake Sully. And in this movie, I would say he acts exactly as he did in Avatar 1. And the one thing that a lot of people brought up in the original Avatar was like, the acting is a little bit like wooden, a little bit stilted, a little bit, like, he needs like, I don't know, to level up a little bit with it, like his acting ability. Like, for a fact, if they had like Leo or Ryan Gosling or someone else, the acting would have been like up there. And I don't know, I feel like he did okay in this movie, but it wasn't much better than the first one. So if you had any problems with the acting in the first Avatar movie, this one is like on the same level. Like, it has not really improved with the main character. So he still talks like very, very dry, like, yeah, and then I was here watching what was happening around me. Like, that kind, like, at times I was like, is he trying or not? I know some people have a lot of criticisms of this actor, and I'm not hating on him, because I watched a lot of movies with him, and he has acted pretty good in other movies. I don't know, maybe they told him some things or how he should act in the Avatar films, and James Cameron and others like kind of directed him to be a certain way. But I don't know, there was just something about his voice, something how he acted, that I don't know, I wish he could have just been a little bit better than the first movie, because it felt the same. So that's maybe just me, but everybody else is pretty good. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but some famous actors are in this movie, and they steal the show. Like, when they are on screen, I'll probably talk about it in the spoiler section, but literally all the other actors kind of steal the show a little bit. Like, the main guy is like, I would say on an acting level of like a 6 out of 10, and then everybody else is like a 8 or a 9 on an acting level. So they're just like playing it up, making the world super believable, and props to everybody else that was in this movie, because they've really carried it. Let's see, what else do I gotta say? This movie is long. Oh my goodness. So this movie's like 3 hours or something. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Honestly, I stopped, counting or looking at my watch. So I don't know what time it was, but it's like a 3-hour movie, so definitely expect it to be pretty long. But I was having like so much time, like so much fun. The time just flew by. So I know I said I was having so much time, but no, I meant I was having so much fun and the time just flew by. Like, there wasn't anything that was super boring about the movie. It flowed pretty well. So, let's say, here I have a statement. Basically, this movie, the first half of the movie, this is not a spoiler by the way, the first half of Avatar 2 felt like a 6 or 7 out of 10 movie. So the first half of the movie was like, okay, this is alright. It's alright, it's good, okay. And it kind of was making you feel like, okay, where are we going with this? Is this gonna get better, or are we gonna stay at this level, or what? And then the second half of the movie, like, the entire, like, final hour or 40 minutes of the movie is like an 8 out of 10, an 8.5 out of 10. Like, it's amazing. My favorite part of the movie would have to be like the last half. Like, if you cut the movie in half, I would love to watch the final half over and over again. It's my favorite, and I absolutely loved it. And it really, if you watch a lot of James Cameron movies, which I have, you can really see that it's a James Cameron movie. So, if you watched like Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Aliens, The Abyss, especially Aliens, and The Abyss, and even Titanic, if you watched Aliens, The Abyss, or Titanic by James Cameron, Avatar 2 takes like a lot of inspiration from those movies at the end of this one. So I was like, oh, wait a second, he's doing this thing, or, oh, this reminds me of this from The Abyss, or, oh, okay, they're doing the Titanic thing, and I loved it. I really, really loved it. James Cameron's amazing. I think he did a great job directing this movie, and I think this movie's gonna get a lot of hate, because Avatar recently, a lot of people find it really cool to hate on Avatar. Even after it came out, like, everybody watched it, and then like a year or two later, everyone was like, ugh, Avatar, it sucks, it's terrible. And then that just kept growing and growing, and now you see a lot of people just making fun of Avatar, like, oh, no one's gonna watch Avatar 2, it's not making money, oh, it took forever to come out. But, hear me out. This is a good sci-fi / fantasy movie, and we don't get a lot of quality ones these days. Like, a lot of the sci-fi and fantasy is like pretty bad. So when something decent or above average comes out, like Avatar 2, I have to give it some praise. And this movie, if you're a fan of like fantasy, sci-fi, lore, and stuff like that, you would probably enjoy this movie. It expands on things a lot more than the first movie did, and I like that. And I would honestly like to see another movie in this world, and apparently they're making more Avatar movies, so hopefully that happens. But I think this was a good movie. If I were to give it a rating, I'm on the fence between like a 7 and a 7.5 out of 10. But that's probably where I sit with like my ranking for this movie. So it's not like a 9 out of 10 amazing, go watch it right now. But it's not like a terrible like 4 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 movie. Like, definitely not that. The visuals alone carry this movie to like a 6 at least. And then the story and characters and what happens is pretty likable. And the action. This movie has an interesting thing with the action, so they throw action into the movie at like random points. And whenever it happens, you're like, yeah, finally. But it it's not until like the last half of the movie where it really ramps up and it just goes insane, and I absolutely loved it for that. So I recommend going to see it only if you watched the first Avatar. If you didn't watch the first Avatar, maybe watch that one first. If you don't like sci-fi movies, movies about aliens, fantasy movies, stuff like Lord of the Rings, things with elves, if you didn't really like that Dune movie with Timothy Chalamet that came out, if you don't like stuff like that, don't go watch this movie. But if you do, if you're into that kind of stuff, you might really enjoy this one. And if you watched any other James Cameron movies like Aliens, The Abyss, Terminator, Titanic, maybe check this one out if you enjoyed those, because he does things in those movies that he does in this one. So, pretty enjoyable. Now, let's get to the spoilers. So, the spoiler section. Okay, where do I even start? So, this movie is like, I feel like they stole like an hour out of the movie, and they might release it as a complete director's cut edition in like a year. And the reason I say that is, throughout the movie, especially the first like half, the beginning half of the movie, everything's like so rushed. Like the movie starts, and then immediately it goes from like, oh, the characters from the last movie, oh yeah, they have kids right now. Oh look, the kids are like already teenagers. Oh look, these bad guys have returned. Oh look, we gotta escape. Oh hey, they have new gear. Where did the gear come from? Never mind, they just have it now. Oh look, like it skips things. And then when a skip happens, then it just leads to another skip and then more stuff, and you're just there asking questions. Like, the first Avatar movie was kind of slow at the beginning. It kind of introduced the world to you. It kind of was, world building since the start. This one does not do that. It expects you to like know everything about the first Avatar, and then it just like throws you into everything new. And I didn't really like that. There were times where I was a little bit confused. So much was happening so quickly. And there were times where I felt that Avatar 2, maybe it was going to be 2 movies, and then they combined them into one movie and just cut some stuff out. That's what it feels like, especially the beginning part. So, yeah, I don't want to go into specifics, but it felt like, there were so many times where I was like, wait, where did these guys come from? Who is that guy? Who is this girl? How do they know each other already? Oh, okay. Where did they get these new guns? Where's their base? And it's like, no, don't ask too many questions. Just go with the story. It's fast. But then later on, it slows down. It gives you time to breathe. And then you can start kind of enjoying the movie because it explains stuff more. So, I like the second half of the movie more than the first half. Next, they did something that I actually really, really liked. So the villain from the first movie is back in this movie. And he actually died in the previous movie. And I was talking to my friends literally just a few weeks ago. I had no idea they did this, but I said, oh, it's too bad that the villain from the first one died. He was really good. It would have been nice to have him in Avatar 2. And then here we go. Avatar 2 comes out. They get the same villain, and they bring him back. And not only that, they make him better. They make him stronger, more vicious. Basically, the movie doesn't even go into detail. They basically say, oh yeah, the villain, the main, character, the Marine, that kind of had it out for Jake. Scully in the first movie. Why do I keep saying it's Jake Sully? Oh man. So Jake Sully in the first movie was hated by this Marine guy. If you watched it, you know who he is. But he ends up, they end up fighting at the end of the movie. There's a whole battle. It's pretty cool. That guy dies. And in this movie, it's revealed that that guy gave his DNA to the military group that he's a part of. sent it back to Earth, and they cloned him. They put his DNA into like an avatar body. So now he's back in this movie for revenge on Jake for killing him in the first movie. And he has like an avatar body now, so like the Na'vi. So he's tall, he's strong, he has all their abilities, he just has to learn them. So it's no longer like a human versus a human or human versus Na'vi. In this one, it's basically like a new Na'vi after Jake. And that's super cool. And not only that, but he has like a whole team of Marines, all Na'vi, like avatars like him. And they're all like part of a unit, and they're a special, squad, and they're going out. And they're pretty violent. They're just like killing things and just doing their, bad guy stuff in this movie. So they're pretty cool, like likable villains. They do a really good job at making you hate them in this movie. So, good villain choices all around. Like that was fantastic. Now, if I were to talk about some things I didn't like, so this movie is called like Avatar 2, The Way of the Water. This movie should be called Avatar 2, The Way of the Kids, or The Way of the Children, or something that involves like family or children or something. Basically, this movie is like 20% the original main characters from Avatar 1. The whole movie focuses on the kids. Basically, the main guy and girl from the first movie, they end up having kids. And this movie is like these teenage kid adventures of disobeying their parents, not listening. They keep doing the same thing over and over again, like, hey, don't go out, you're grounded. And then immediately after they say that, the kids just go out and do what they want to do. They end up getting captured or hurt. Then it's up to the parents to save them. And then they bring them back, they save them, and they're like, you're grounded, don't do that. And then immediately the kids go do the same thing again, or something similar. So, this whole movie is a little bit annoying, just because the kids, or the teenagers, are a little bit annoying. They always think they know better in this movie, they're like doing their own thing, they're getting in trouble. And at one point I'm like, come on bro, like seriously, can you just chill for a second? But the teens in this movie, the teenagers, or the teenage son especially, of Jake, he's kind of like a problem child a little bit. He's always doing his own thing, but in the end, he discovers something, and he kind of saves everybody, and he does a good job by the end of the movie. Just because he's like curious and always like escaping and doing his own thing and not listening, he kind of ends up saving everybody. To be honest, everybody in the movie that doesn't listen to their parents or does their own thing ends up pretty good, with the exception of one guy that actually does listen to his parents, actually dying in the movie. So it's like a reverse thing, like, oh, if you do your own thing, everything's gonna be cool in the end. But if you actually follow the rules, the stuff's not gonna be good for you. And that's exactly what happens. So, it started getting a little bit annoying, because every single time it's kind of like, the kids get told, like, hey, don't go in this super secret dark area of the forest. And then the next day, where do they go? The super dark secret area of the forest. And then they get caught, and then everything, gets really bad just because of that. So there's a ton of stuff like that in the movie. So if you don't like annoying characters like that, or characters that don't listen, or things like that, this movie could potentially make you pretty angry. I was okay with it, but in the theater, no joke, 2 people a few times, every time the kids would like do something, I would hear like the one lady say like, oh, look, they're gonna get in trouble now again. And I had to laugh, because it was actually true when that happened. So that's just something I wanted to point out. But let's talk about the first half of this movie. So just to go through the story really quick, first half of the movie is mostly like the jungle areas and military areas from the first movie. Second half of the movie takes place in like the water area. Everything's like in the ocean, like a nice reef area with the sea and the beach and the waves and sea animals and all sorts of like cool things going on. And I like that part of the movie more than the intro or the beginning part. This movie also had a lot more like military scenes and less beauty of the actual planet of Pandora, which I was a little bit sad. Like the first movie, everything looked magical in the, the forest and things glowing and the animals and the leaves. This movie, there's like a little bit here, a little bit there at the beginning, but everything's like enclosed caverns or spaces like that. And then they show you like the military base and the military people. And I was like, can we please go adventuring more in the forest and exploring? And they don't really do that, sadly. But the second half of the movie, when they go to the, water areas, they do start showing more of the ocean and the coral reef and the fish and stuff like that. So definitely like that part of the movie more. But I think they could have used a little bit more of that wonder that the first movie had. But basically, if I'm going to tell the story of this movie super fast, this is how it goes. So the main bad guy from the first movie comes back with a whole unit. He's after revenge. Jake Sully has, his own tribe, his own, he's basically special, like, war leader of the Na'vi, where he's from in this area. They kidnap his kids. He has to come in and save them. They manage to get away. And then he's like, it's too dangerous to stay here. It will endanger everybody if we stay. And they'll probably take our kids again. So let's just leave. Let's fly far, far away, deep into the ocean, far away to some islands. We'll be safe there. So they basically say goodbye to the forest and their family there. They fly away with the kids over the water. Eventually they get to this island place. The people there have like green, like ocean green skin. So at the beginning there's like these kids like making fun of Jake's kids, like, oh, you have like such small tails and why is your skin so blue and you can't swim good like us and you're so silly, you're so dumb, things like that. Eventually, they deal with their differences and they get like mutual respect for each other, but there is some kind of like tension there at the beginning when they meet each other. But basically, as it goes on, they finally realize that they're all like one people and they should be helping each other and the tribe respects them there. So really, really cool. Honestly, the reef people are awesome and I really like their houses and the whole idea of being near like the ocean and things like that. I really, really liked. It looked amazing and I loved the water visuals in this movie. So what happens then? These bad guys find out that they don't even explain how the bad guys find out where they are, by the way. It kind of like skips to them just knowing where they are. And the bad guys are just like, oh hey, they are in the ocean area somewhere. I don't know why they think that, but they just do. And they just start like burning villages near the ocean of other like clans or tribes in the area. And they're doing this so they'll talk and they'll say where Jake is hiding, and everybody's like super close, so they're not snitching at all. No one's snitching, and they're getting angrier and angrier. So he's like, you know what we're gonna do? They have like a social like link to their like spirit animals in this area, which are these like huge like whale creatures. And they're just like, yo, let's go hunt one of them and kill them as like a payback, so they all feel super bad and tell us where Jake is. So they do this like horrific scene where they go out on the ocean. It almost feels like an anti-whale message, almost like, I don't know, James Cameron, like how he feels about whale hunting or stuff like that. But this movie really makes it feel bad for these like fictional alien water like animals, which are very similar to whales. And they kill them in like a really sad manner, and it's like super sad, like, and it just makes you feel like really bad, and you're like, wow, these guys are like serious evil villains. Like they're out here just killing animals that did nothing to them just for like fun, just to get people to come out of hiding. So it was not cool. And basically Jake and these others come out, and they're all like super angry, like, oh, what did you do? So the whole like reef people tribe are with like Jake, and they're like, yo, we gotta go fight these guys. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens. His kids get captured, and then he basically turns himself in so they don't hurt his kids. And then like a whale that they saved before comes and starts fighting, and then everybody starts fighting, and there's a huge battle in the water, and it's amazing. And then the ship starts sinking, and then a bunch of people are fighting on the ship as it's sinking, and then Jake and his wife and the kids get stuck in the ship, and they have to travel through it fighting and escaping while it's sinking. And it's very like stressful and full of tension, and I loved it. Great action finale sequence. And at the end of the movie, Jake's oldest son, who's like a Navi, he dies. Very, very sad scene, but all his other kids survive. And there's a lot of like other lore and things happening in this movie that I'm not going to get into. A lot of other characters are introduced, but that's kind of how it goes. And the main villain, he's about to die, and then he gets saved at the end of the movie. Like someone comes in and saves him, just because I guess they don't want to see them die. I didn't mention it before, but the main villain actually has a son in this movie that's actually a good person and does not like his dad, and he's working with Jake and other Navi people. So he's kind of like he reminded me a lot of like Tarzan, Tarzan in the movies, where they like just threw him into the jungle and he became like a wild man. This boy, he was like born, there in the military, but then he decided to just leave and be a part of the Navi people, live in the jungle and, learn the ways of the jungle. And his dad comes back. He doesn't realize it, and then the main villain character's like, oh, yeah, we're related, you're my son, stuff like that. But he's like, no, I'm not like you, I'm with the people, and you're trying to hurt them. So he's really against everything this guy's doing. But at the end of the movie, even though this guy like murdered animals, murdered people, his son still saves him from drowning, because I guess he doesn't want to see his dad, even though if his dad's bad, die. And they don't really give us an explanation, but the movie just ends. And I did not like that ending, I have to say. Like, I really hope they don't make that guy like a good person in the next movie or something, because he was really annoying in this one, so I kind of wanted to see him go. But they might change it, they might do something different, so I'm interested to see what happens. But I liked the characters in this movie, lots of personality. Definitely recommend going to see it. And yeah, like I said before, I give it like a 7.5 out of 10. And honestly, I think I liked Avatar 2 a little bit more than Avatar 1. And it's especially for the last half of this movie with all the water action and fighting. Really, really love that part. So that's my review. Thank you all for listening, for watching. If you watch this movie, let me know what you thought. And I'll see you all next time. So long and farewell.